Welcome to the midday analysis. Today is Tuesday, the 24th of October 2017. Time is 14:03 here in the UK. You're looking at an AUDJPY daily chart. In today's analysis, we're going to be looking for reversals and continuations from areas of support and resistance. We're going to be looking at pretty much all the pairs on my list here and all the time frames. So let's start off with AUDJPY daily chart. What's going on with this right now? Nothing much. I mean, it's already reversing. I assume, well, I don't know how many of you, actually, I haven't moved the chat over. One sec. Cool thing about this new software is we can have the chat just floating on screen, which is a nice little touch that they added. I'll just put it over here for now. Yeah, that's good enough. Right, so the chat's on the screen. Is anyone in AUDJPY short, or was anyone in this trade? You're still in, Imre? Nice. It was a nice little trade. Yeah, I saw it was posted to the forum, so I was wondering who was in, but it didn't really seem like a lot of people entered it based on the forum post. It didn't seem like an extremely popular trade, sadly, because it was a really good trade. All right, so only Imre, do you have any questions about it, about AUDJPY, or are you good to go with it? Should you stay in? I thought you might ask that. That's why I asked if you have any questions. It's a bit of a tricky one because, first of all, it looks like it might be starting a downtrend, which is good. I mean, overall, if you look at AUDJPY on the daily chart, it's very likely still in an uptrend, but it looks like we might be starting to see a downtrend. So if you take a look at it, right, this could be the start of a overall downtrend on this pair, and then you got like what looks like some chart patterns and stuff like that. But we don't really pay much attention to chart patterns. I just thought I'd bring that up because we're seeing a few of them here. But anyway, the main point is, it looks like it's starting to trend down. So, you know, it might make sense to stay in this trade and try to ride out that new downtrend. But it is, like you've pointed out, stalling pretty heavily. So what I'm looking at right now is this kind of area here. It's stalled at this area in the past, several times in fact. Here, here, on its way up. It broke through it, but then it came back up and it bounced away from it. And now it's on its way down. So it's no surprise that it's stalling here again. I mean, it's done this quite a bit in the recent past. So the question is, are you happy to hold this trade knowing that it's possible that it comes back up to here and then goes back down? Because that's very possible. It could come back up to resistance, test resistance, and then push back down. Or would you rather close out with the profit that you have? So I guess the question's up to you. What was your overall target on the trade? So you're looking for a risk to reward ratio of 2, presumably. I'm guessing at your entry and your stop, but it looks like you had enough Right, so the max that reached was about 1.4, maybe even 1.5, depending on your entry and your stop. And right now it's sitting at below 1. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough call. I don't want to tell you whether or not you should exit. That's a decision you need to make for yourself, because you know that's something that you need to plan in your own trading. But I can tell you what I would do if I was in the trade, and that is I would probably just hold it. When I get into a trade, I like to give it a fair chance to work out. So this is, by the looks of it, I don't know what time frame you entered on, but I probably would have entered on either the 12-hour or the 8-hour, probably the 8-hour. That's the most likely. So, you know, I'm not against exiting a trade early if it makes sense to. But right now, it's only stalling really for 2 candles. I mean, this current candle, you could say, is stalling, but it's been open for 10 minutes. So, you know, it's not really stalling yet. It's stalled for 2 candles. And the last candle made a new low beyond the 2 previous lows. I wouldn't really say that sellers have lost control of price. I wouldn't really say that buyers have gained control of price. If a new high is made beyond the 88.67, so let's just call it the 88.70, rounded up a little bit, then I would be slightly more concerned about holding this trade. But what I would do right now would be I'd probably just hold it and wait it out and just see what happens and keep a close eye on price. So I would check back in every few hours just to get an idea of what price is doing and make my assessment, make my decision based on that. I wouldn't mind if it comes back up to resistance. You know, trades, sorry guys, I forgot to mute my phone. So yeah, trades very often pull back up to resistance, test resistance before continuing down. So I wouldn't really be too afraid of keeping this open. I would hold it personally. But it's up to you how you decide to handle the trade, because just because I would hold it, it doesn't mean that you should hold it. You might want to close out because what's happening right now, the stalling that's happening right now, goes beyond what your plan says is acceptable. I guess that's the best way to put it. If you look at traders like Viet, I'm sure you know Viet. He's one of like my best students, and he does videos for the course. He uses a time-based stop loss. So if the trade goes on too long without hitting his target, he closes it out. Viet's an expert, like an absolute expert at cutting losses. And he's an expert at getting out of trades, at bailing from trades. That's his expertise. I mean, that does sound kind of bad the way I've said that, but it's not a bad thing because he's a profitable trader. So my approach is not necessarily the best approach. There's a lot of different approaches to managing trades is what I'm trying to say. I've gone on about this for quite some time, so I'll try to wrap it up. There's quite a lot of different approaches to managing trades. My approach is not necessarily the best approach for you, because how you manage your trades is a lot to do with your trading psychology, which is a lot to do with your personality. I'm the kind of trader that I don't really care. If I was in this trade, I wouldn't care if it turns into a loss, because I know overall I'm profitable. So it wouldn't bother me if this turns into a loss. I don't really care if my winning trades turn around on me and then hit my stop loss. Again, this is not something that bothers me too much. I'm a very kind of like whatever kind of trader. I'm happy with whatever happens. I'm not too phased by losing a trade. So to me, I would leave it open and see what happens, at least for another few candles. If it stalls out for another 2 or 3 candles, I'd probably start considering closing it out, because then it's just been stalling way too long. But right now I would leave it open. Even if it pulls all the way back up to my entry, I would still leave it open. I would trust that this resistance area is going to stop price from moving up to my stop loss, and I would just let it run. So hopefully that answers your question. I know it's a bit of a long-winded answer. We've spent 10 minutes in here and we've only really looked at one pair. So let's move on and see what's going on with AUD New Zealand. Quickly going to throw up some of the shaded areas around there. Just makes it easier for me to kind of visualize the support resistance when I have the shaded area around there. The shaded area doesn't really mean much. It's just a visual tool. There's nothing really much going on AUD New Zealand. I mean, it is hitting this this resistance area, but it's a little bit messy, isn't it? The wicks are a bit too big. There's nothing I'm really interested in trading there, guys. All right, AUDUSD. What's going on with AUDUSD? Might need some new support resistance areas on AUDUSD, to be completely honest. These ones are starting to look a bit dated based on the most recent bounces, but there's nothing really I'd want to trade here right now. Nothing tradable. So let's take a look at CAD JPY. Yeah, nothing. Euro AUD, also nothing. Euro GBP. Was anyone short on Euro GBP? This was posted to the forum, right? The short trade here? I think it was. Or am I mixing it up with something else? Sorry guys, as you know, I have been kind of very busy the last week, so I haven't been on the forum as much as I should have been. So that's why I'm a little bit out of touch with what was posted to the forum. Ooh, EURUSD, what's that? Interesting. EURUSD is testing this resistance area again. Based on this previous candle, we have a good risk to reward ratio. Based on this new candle, which hasn't closed yet, it's still got 7 hours, 45 minutes until it closes. Yeah, there might be opportunity for a short trade here. It would be a very small short trade. I wouldn't be wanting to target a lot, well, at least not initially. You know, it's not even a great setup, but it's something worth keeping an eye on. Let's keep a close eye on EURUSD for a potential short trade. We'll discuss it further in the forum as it develops, because it's, like I said, 7 hours, 45 minutes until it closes. So it's going to be quite some time. So I don't want to rush into, I don't want to get excited over this right now, because first of all, it's not that great looking a setup, and it's not going to close for another 7 hours, 50 minutes. So let's just monitor it, but not get excited. Euro New Zealand, yeah. Just messing around up at resistance, nothing much. Euro USD. I was looking for a potential Euro USD long opportunity yesterday, but it just never really did what I wanted it to do. So I never really entered. Kind of moving up a little bit, but yeah, there's nothing here that I'm that interested in trading. GBP AUD, what's going on with this? Nothing much. GBP CAD. Huh. We have like indecision forming here. I mean, it's pretty far above resistance, so it's probably not going to lead to any setup, but we might get like a potential short trade here. It's unlikely, but you know, it's worth keeping an eye on. Anything is worth keeping an eye on. Just because we're keeping an eye on a pair, it doesn't mean that I think for sure there'll be a trade there and that I'm going to enter a trade. It just means it's worth monitoring. So if something is worth monitoring, I'll just move it to the top of my list. And then when I come back to my charts in a few hours to do analysis again, I'll be able to check it as one of the first pairs I check. And I'll be able to see how it's developing and if it's turning into a potential trade. So right now, both GBPCAD and EURUSD, they're not actual trade setups, but they're just things that are worth monitoring. GBPJPY. Yeah, not really that good. GBP New Zealand is pushing up. I think we need some new resistance for this one. There we are, yeah, around about there, but ooh, there we have some actual data to work with. Something like that. It's 2013, that's going back a long way. I hate going back that far to play support resistance. It's just a bit too much. It's a bit tricky placing support resistance right now on GBP New Zealand. We just don't have enough good data. I'm just going to place based on those highs there for now, but these support resistance areas are most likely going to need some serious adjustment. Regardless, there's nothing happening there right now that I would want to trade. So GBP USD looks like it's going to be a boring day, guys. Well, I just said that, and then look at this. This actually looks somewhat decent. New Zealand JPY. It's heading down into this support area. The reason I'm interested in this is last time it hit this support area, we got a pretty massive reversal. That was a very significant reversal last time. So it's heading back down into this support area. Yeah, there is opportunity, potential for a long trade. I mean, it's reacted at this area the last two times it's hit it, in fact. If you look here, the first time it pulled back quite some way. Probably not enough for a profitable trade because it did spike back down, but it did pull away. And then it pulled away again. Now let's keep a close eye on New Zealand JPY. Let's see how this develops. Again, there's no potential setup here right now. We're just going to monitor it and see how it develops. New Zealand USD, that is a strong move down, heading straight into this support area. I mean, again, this is just something I want to keep an eye on to see how it develops. I want to see what happens at this support area. So this 69.10 support area, there's strong potential for price to stall here and turn around. It is a very significant low. It did drop slightly lower than that last time it was here, but it's all around this rough area. This support resistance that I have here, the shaded area makes it a little misleading, right? So when you remove the shaded area, what we're looking at is this entire area here being support. So price is falling into this strong support area that's pushed price away several times since since a year ago. It's price has been falling to this area and reversing, falling to this area and reversing. So well, what's going to happen this time that it falls into it? It's very possibly going to reverse again, but also it could go down through it. If it breaks through it, then I'd be looking for a potential long continuation. But if it stalls heavily here, I'll be looking for a potential reversal trade. So let's just keep a close eye on this. We don't really have any trade set up so far today. We just have things that are worth keeping an eye on, things that are worth monitoring closely. USDCAD, ooh, there we go. There's an actual setup. Look at that. Nice daily candle. Let's look at it on the 12-hour. Looks pretty solid on the 12-hour too. 7.5 hours until this 12-hour candle closes. That looks nice. All right. USDCAD. I want to see how this 12-hour candle closes. I want to see maybe how the daily candle closes. This is a pretty decent looking setup. I'm not sure if we're going to get good risk to reward ratio. Yes, we are. We even have enough room to move our stop loss a little higher, get a bit of a better stop loss there, depending on whether the candle closes like this or not. Obviously, I've just placed that entry and that stop loss based on this current candle, but this candle could completely change by the time it closes. We've got, you know, like I said, another 7.5 hours until it closes. So a lot can change in that time, but this is definitely worth keeping an eye on. USD-CAD is showing strong signs of potential reversal. Keep a close eye on that. That's the best looking thing I've seen so far today. USD-CHF is hitting this resistance area right now. It doesn't really seem to be stalling, but it's worth keeping an eye on. Maybe it will stall like USD-CAD and possibly turn around. Let's watch that one. USDJPY, very similar. All these USD pairs are showing similar signs of reversal areas of resistance. USDJPY looks way too messy though, so I'm not interested in that one. I'm going to keep a close eye on USD-CAD and USD-CHF though. Just taking a quick look at silver. Stalling on this support area, nothing much there. And gold, same thing. So let's not worry about those. So just a summary, guys. USD-CAD, we have an awesome looking setup forming on the 12-hour and on the daily. So let's keep a close eye on that. That could give us a really nice trade. USD-CHF looks to be pushing through resistance, but if it follows USD-CAD, it might end up stalling here too. So this is definitely worth monitoring. It's worth keeping an eye on. Just because it doesn't look fantastic right now, you just have to use your imagination a little bit and imagine what it's going to look like if price falls back down and closes here. Then it's going to look like a nice little indecision candle, isn't it? Right on top of resistance. So just because it doesn't look good right now, it doesn't really mean anything. USD-CHF could potentially give us a nice little short trade. It's just we need to monitor it over the next 7.5 hours, see what happens. New Zealand USD is heading into a support area. That could give us a trade. We have no idea. It could just go straight through the support area. It's worth keeping an eye on. EURUJPY is on resistance. Worth keeping an eye on. Let's see what happens with that. EURUJPY, I'm going to focus on lower time frames though, like the 8-hour, maybe the 6-hour, maybe even the 4-hour. I'm checking it out on these lower time frames. Probably not the 4-hour. I don't trade that much these days. It's probably going to end up being the 8-hour if anything forms here. So it's worth keeping an eye on. And yeah, GBPJPY is probably the worst looking setup of the day. But on the daily chart, you know, it might give us something. It's a bit above resistance, so it's not really, it's highly unlikely for it to be a viable trade. Anyway, guys, I think that wraps it up for the analysis. Are there any questions? Thanks for watching the analysis. I hope it was useful. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button below. In case you missed it, Forex Mastermind, my online training course and forum, is now open for enrollment for a few days. Check it out by clicking the link below this video. Also, for instant notifications when I post analysis or other cool videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Once the setups I share in this analysis trigger, I post live updates as I manage the trade, such as my entry, exit, stop, and when to get out of the trade. For these updates, add me on Facebook or Twitter by clicking the buttons below. I'll see you in the next video.